What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the InSwinger. It is that time of year. I'm going to be giving you my 1 to 20 Premier League season predictions. Let's get right into it. Starting at the bottom, so much to discuss here with the promoted sides. In 20th position, I've gone for Southampton. I think this will be a popular pick for the drop. There's a lot of things I like about Southampton. I think Russell Martin's got some progressive ideas. Obviously, they came up through the playoffs in dramatic fashion last season, beating Leeds at Wembley. And I think they'll be better than Sheffield United. I'll certainly give them that. I think they showed against Leeds that they can be compact, they can be tough to break down, and I think that's what you need as a promoted team in the Premier League. You're not going to be able to knock the ball around against the top teams. It's just not going to happen. So you've got to be solid defensively. Some of the additions I don't mind. Flynn Downs, bringing him in. I think he looks like a promising player. Harwood Bellis from Man City looks like he could be a top player one day. Other than that, you're looking at Ben Brereton Diaz, who was all right at Sheffield United. I think that's an addition, a sensible addition, but I don't think they'll have enough to stay up. I think they'll be competitive, more competitive than Sheffield United last season, but I just don't see it. So I've got them in 20th position, unfortunately. Sorry, Southampton fans. 19th, I don't think they'll be much better. Leicester City. I know they blew away the championship last season. I feel like I've seen it all before. I've seen it from Burnley, a quote-unquote experienced enough, club in the Premier League. They just couldn't do it. They've lost their manager. Could be a blessing in disguise, actually. I think Cooper could be a bit more pragmatic. I liked what I saw from Steve Cooper in his tenure at Forest in the championship. In the Premier League, he was all right, I thought. A bit harsh to get the sack, but I'm not sure he's going to be the difference that'll keep Leicester in the league. I like them better than Southampton. I think they've got a few decent players. Mavididi, of course. We've seen some of these guys in the Premier League. They've lost Dewsbury Hall, which I think is a big miss. Of course, going to Chelsea, and it's sad to say. I'm not sure they're going to have enough, despite being so dominant in the championship. I just don't quite see it. I'm not sure I see where the goals come from. Patson Daka just didn't really kick on the way I'm sure Leicester fans would have liked him to in the championship. So a few tricky wingers. A few decent-looking defenders, a couple players we've seen before in the Premier League, but I just don't see it. I just don't see the quality from Leicester City. Let's have a look at their incomings. Fatawu, the right winger from Sporting, looks decent. Can't say I've really seen much of him, but if it's a position of need, then fair enough. Okoli from Atalanta, he'll play in the back, and then the rest are just a loan transfer for Buonanotte. I think some creativity is always welcome. De Cordova-Reid's a decent player, squad player for a mid to lower table team, I think. But other than that, I'm just not sure I see enough goals in the team, and I'm not sure I believe enough in the defense for them to stay solid for 38 games. I think Wout Faes is all right, but I just think they're not gonna quite do it. So I've got Leicester in 19th. I do think it'll be a tight bottom three. 18th. This is where it gets a little more interesting, but I'd love to do it. I just can't bring myself to do it. I've gone Ipswich. I think they could finish lower. I think they could finish higher, but you look at the teams ahead of them, which I'll get to. I'm not sure they have the quality. I just don't see it. McKenna, I've heard great things. I'm sure he's great, but the inexperience is a problem. The way they play, I don't think will be as much of a problem. I think we could see Luton-esque in that I think they could frustrate teams. I think they'll be smart. I don't think McKenna will be naive the way I thought Vincent Kompany was for a lot of last season. Let's take a look at some of their signings. Of course, they've got Liam Delap in, who'll play up front from Man City. Big money for him, I thought. Could be a promising player, but haven't really seen him in the first team for City, so I can't really comment on his Premier League capabilities. Ben Johnson, I think, is a good addition from West Ham. Bit of experience. They needed that. Omari Hutchinson, obviously, he is highly rated and had a great season there last year. Bringing him in permanently for a decent fee, it has to be said, but they needed to do it. Fair enough. Jacob Greaves, I think that's a good addition from Hull City. He's been really solid. I was touting him for an Everton move. Muric from Burnley, fine. So listen, they've done all right in the transfer market. I don't really have a problem with their business. It's more the inexperience factor. It's more the fact that they were in League One 2 seasons ago. Can they do it again and stay up? I'm not sure. I think I'd love to see the fairy tale, but I can't quite put my money on them just because of what happened last season with, well, not just because, but what we saw last season, 3 teams coming up, the same 3 going down. I think it's going to be a pattern. I really do. It's hard to compete, financially, and especially if you're Ipswich, who have got back-to-back promotions. They've still got a squad that was in League One recently. So I can't quite bring myself to do it, but I've given them 18th. I think they'll have a fighting chance. But the teams ahead of them, I think, are just too strong. 17th place, this might be a bit punchy. I've gone Brentford. Wasn't impressed with them last season. I know they missed Ivan Toney, but even when he came back, it just wasn't quite clicking. Could he leave towards the end of the window? Maybe, although I'm not quite sure now because United seem to have a couple strikers through the door, or 1 striker through the door. Now they've got 2 total, and Højlund and Xerxes been linked there. Arsenal don't seem to want to do it. Chelsea have got plenty of guys now. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Spurs have got Solanke in. Liverpool, they've never really been linked with them. Don't see it. Man City, I don't think so. So who's left? Newcastle. I'm not quite sure there. I think Isak. I think Isak is the clear number 1. Obviously, Tony would want to probably be the number 1. Villa have got Watkins. So I'm not quite sure where he goes. Even West Ham have brought someone in Fulkrug. So looks like he'll stay. That's good. Thiago's come in. He's going to be injured. We're not going to see him. But if Tony stays, it's not really a problem. Other than that, it's Fabio Carvalho is the main signing there. I think creativity is great. I don't think their sort of young, fun signings have really worked. And I'm thinking of Damsgaard. I think Nathan Collins needs a bit more. I want to see a bit more from him, although I think Pinnock has been fantastic. I think he's a slept-on defender in the Premier League. The fullbacks worry me. I think the fullback depth really worries me. Hickey and Henry just missed a lot of last season, and if it happens again, they're skint out wide. Wissa and Burmo, of course, everybody likes, so I think they'll stay up. But I think it's a warning sign last season for Brentford. I think they could slip up a little bit, especially when we talk about teams ahead of them who have made a few more moves in the transfer window. I think they're better positioned for a mid-table finish than Brentford are. In 16th, I've gone for Nottingham Forest. Slightly better than last season. I think you have to hope if you're a Forest fan. I mean, the squad really like the squad. Elliot Anderson coming in from Newcastle. It's a little bit pricey for me, but I think he's a talented player. Milenkovic, I like the sign of, just a hard-nosed defender. He'll slot alongside Murillo, who they managed to keep so far, that's a great partnership. So I think that will be a good foundation to build on if you're Forest. And then beyond that, it's the same guys we know can produce. Alanga, I think, is decent. I like Gibbs White. Hudson-Odoi, if he can stay fit, he's got the odd screamer in him. I think he's a talented player. But I think that's a mid-table team with Chris Wood up front if Awoniyi can't stay fit. So I'm not sure Nuno is the guy. I'm just not that inspired by him. I don't quite feel it. I don't think he really got them firing enough last season. The points deduction didn't help, of course, but we'll get on to Everton and what they were able to do with the worst points deduction. They should be better than they are, Forest, and I can't quite buy in yet to what they're doing. The business is okay, but over the course of their Premier League tenure, it's a little all over the place. I think they're one of those teams that is underperforming based on the squad, and I'm not sure Nuno is the guy to get them to overperform and to punch up into 12th, 13th position quite yet. So I think he could be he's firmly in the sack race for me, Nuno. A bit of an early prediction there. I think he could go gone by November maybe. But the squad's good enough to stay up. I think it has to be. So I think they'll be more comfortable than they were last season. In 15th, I've gone for Fulham. This might be a bit of an unpopular pick. I like Fulham, nothing against them. I think they're comfortable mid-table. I think they've got some fun attackers. The business this summer has been on the quieter side, but Smith Rowe's a great signing. Great signing. Big fan. The fee's not bad. He'll play in the 10 position. They've got a lot of guys. They've got Pereira, Iwobi, now Smith Rowe, who can all play in there, but they're all sort of versatile. He can play wide. Iwobi can play wide. So they've got options, and I think you need options to stay clear of the relegation battle. We know injuries happen. So I think they will, and I like Marco Silva. Sessegnon bringing him back, absolutely fine. He's still 24. homegrown talent. They know him. He knows them. That works for me. So I don't think they'll be in any trouble. But they haven't quite done enough to go higher up the league. I think Silva actually has them punching above their weight. I think Muniz could be a bit of a purple patch guy. I'm not quite sold on him in terms of a consistent goal scorer in the Premier League, but he could prove me wrong. Same with Jimenez. He's just not. I don't think he has it in him anymore, unfortunately, Raul Jimenez. So comfortable mid-table for Fulham, but they've lost Tim Ream, they've lost Palhinha. I think they'll slightly regress. But I like some of the business they've done, and they've got enough in attack to keep them well clear of relegation. In 14th, I've gone for my boys Everton. I think it'll be another solid enough season for us. Hopefully less drama than last season. That's really what we need, is just a boring season, to be honest, and send Goodison off into the sunset, hopefully we'll give it a good send-off, because that's obviously what it deserves. Like the incomings, like them a lot. Got it done early. Jake O'Brien in. We needed a center back, especially after Ben Godfrey leaves. I think Everton fans are a bit tired of seeing Holgate and Keane come on and do a job, although we've got lucky with injuries last season in terms of the center backs. Tarkowski and Branthwaite were fit all season. Branthwaite's not going to play the first game of the year, so O'Brien will slot in. He's looked all right in preseason. He's a good goal scorer. He's 6'6". It seems like a proper Everton sort of player. So I'm a big fan of him, or what I've seen of him so far. Listen, it's defense first. If you're Everton, that's really what kept us in the league last season comfortably. Pickford, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mykolenko were just solid. Right back's a bit of an issue. Coleman didn't play much last season. Hopefully he can stay fit. Then you've got Ashley Young, and then you've got Nathan Patterson, who are all of a sort of a patchy injury record recently. So fullbacks concern me a little bit, especially on the left side. We've only really got Mykolenko as a left footer. That's the main area of concern. I don't know if we'll do any more business. I don't think so. The links have gone a bit quiet, maybe a loan. But in terms of what we've done so far, like O'Brien, really like Ndai. I think he's a versatile player. We need some of that. He can play on the left. He can play in behind the striker. Give Decore a break, because we rely on him heavily, as we do with McNeil, who seems to play every game he's fit. Jack Harrison, hopefully, will get some reps, on the bench, with Lindstrom coming in on loan, who looks like a good player. Direct, a dribbler. We don't really have that profile of attacker in the team. Same with Ndai. He'll go at defenses. We've already seen that in preseason. Everton fans are getting excited. We need someone, I think, who's going to get the crowd off their feet a little bit. I think McNeil and Harrison are a little bit more, sort of crossers of the ball. They're not really dribblers, which is okay. That's fine. I don't mind them. But we need a bit more dynamism in attack, I would say. And I think we could have that with this season with Lindstrom and Ndai. And then you've got Irogbenin in midfield, who looks really, really bright. Around 10 million euros, Dobbin going the other way. Like the looks of him, didn't know anything about him, but he's looked all right in preseason. He's a ball carrier. We don't really have that. Obviously, Onana's gone out for good money. That's absolutely fine in my book. Irogbenin's come in, looking like he's going to take that spot unless another midfielder comes in. So we've got Garner, him, and Idrissa Gueye. Decore can play deeper. Maybe you could use one more, but I think that's okay cover. So we'll see how he adapts to the Premier League. I like the look of him. He does something that our other players don't, and that he carries the ball well, and he carries it forward. So I think that's good. I think direct dribbling is absolutely fine. Progressive dribbling is good in my book. It's what the team needs. So we filled some positions of need. We've got some different profiles in the team. We've got a defender. We've kept Branthwaite. Calvert-Lewin's still here. He won't sign the deal, but he's still here, and he looks like he's going to start the season. So, listen, the depth is better. The team last season did much better than where they finished, obviously, given the points deductions. So there's no reason we can't do it again and do even better with these new players, assuming there's no injury crisis, knock on wood. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be comfortable, barring any points deductions, and I don't see why we can't finish 14th. 13th, I've gone for Wolves, who had a really strong start to the season last year, but sort of just trickled off, like Gary O'Neill, like the squad. I think they're a comfortable mid-table team, but I don't think they're much more than that. We can take a look at the incomings here. Rodrigo Gomes, another Portuguese guy I've never heard about. Pedro Lima. So no big names really screaming at me. The big names, unfortunately, have gone the other way. Kilman's gone to West Ham. Pedro Neto's gone to Chelsea. Those are going to be big losses. I think they've still got enough to be sort of what they were last season. I like Gary O'Neill. there's not much to discuss with Wolves. I think they're just going to be solid. I think they're going to score enough goals, and then I think they're going to keep enough out the other end, really. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, like the look of the squad, like the direction they're going in. I think it'll be another comfortable mid-table finish for Wolves this season. In 12th, I've gone for Brighton. Interesting season for Brighton. Zerbi's obviously gone. New manager's coming in. Let's see what he's all about. I think I've brought them slightly further down the table just because I think it'll be a bit of new manager syndrome in that they might have to get used to it a little bit. But I like what I've seen. I like the signings. Gross is gone. So that's a big loss. They seem to lose their best players every year, but still do all right. Although last season was a step back. But, I think it's a case of 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Brighton. So I think mid-table. In terms of the incomings, Yankuba Minte, wanted him at Everton. Looks like a really bright player. From what I've heard, he's done well in preseason. Mats Wiefer, defensive midfielder from Feyenoord. Again, seems like a good signing. Can't say I've seen too much of him, but a profile they needed in that defensive midfield position. Osman, the left winger. Again, they seem to stack the team with wingers, don't they? But I mean, let's not forget, they still have, the likes of Matoma and Adingra out there. And I think those guys are just going to create a lot of chances, and I think they're going to be absolutely fine this season. They're going to score a ton of goals. They've still got their key players, really. They've lost Lallana and Gross. That was sort of the big one. Buonanote's gone out on loan to Leicester. And Cisso's going to come back. So I think they'll be fine. They have enough in attack. New manager. Give them a season. They'll be mid-table. Not much to write home about for Brighton. Then in 11th, I've gone for Bournemouth. Great season last year from Bournemouth. Iraiola's fantastic. I like him. In terms of the signings, obviously the elephant in the room, Solanke's gone to Spurs. It's a big loss. I still back them to get a mid-table finish. Not quite top half for me just yet because of that loss of Solanke, but Sinistera's come in permanently like that. Can't really say I've heard of anyone else. To be honest, other than Jefferson, but listen, they've kept the squad together other than Solanke, so I'm really not that concerned about Bournemouth despite losing their best player. I think it could be a case of what Brighton have done and just rinse and repeat. Iraola is just a good coach. I just believe in the coach. I like the way they're playing. I like the direction the club's going in. And I think they're better than the teams below them. I think it's as simple as that. I don't think they're quite ready to go top half just yet, but I think another mid-table finish, improving upon last season, maybe get used to playing without Solanke. I think 11th is about right for Bournemouth. Now into the top half. In 10th, I've gone for Crystal Palace. I think they'll have a really good season. Loved what I saw from Glasner. I think obviously teams are going to start to figure them out a little bit, but I think there's no reason why Palace can't finish top half. Obviously they've lost Elise, that's the big outgoing, but they've brought in Ismail Assar, who I really like. We've seen him in the Premier League before. I think he'll be fine. Kamada is a fun signing to play in midfield. Full season of Adam Wharton, Cheick Doucouré coming back. That's a solid team there. Really solid midfield. They've also brought in Riyad, a defender from Real Betis. Position of need, that's fine. I think the squad is largely unchanged other than Elise. Eze's still there, so there's no reason they can't score plenty of goals. Gehi might go. That's the one area, the one player you might be concerned about, but they played well without him last season, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Get some big money in, reinvest. Not a problem. Palace, top half. In 9th position, I've gone for West Ham. I think they could finish higher than this, but I just couldn't quite bring myself to do it. Love the incomings. Max Kilman, I think that's a good signing with sort of replacing Zuma in the back line. Somerville looks great. Fulkrug, I think that's a fun one. I think they needed a striker. They got one. We'll see how he does. It's a tough market, the strikers market. Guilherme, don't know much about him, but it's another winger. They really needed wingers. They've got 2. Kudus and Bowen can get a break. Antonio can get a break. They've got Kilman at the back. Guido Rodriguez, bit of experience, can rotate in with Alvarez. They've got depth. They've got much better depth. Todibo at the back is huge as well. Could be a new partnership, him and Kilman. Listen, it's a really well-rounded squad. I don't see why they can't get Europe, other than the fact that the teams above them are also pretty stacked and have a bit more pedigree, I suppose. But I'm expecting big things from West Ham. We'll see what the manager's all about. We'll see if he can improve upon the football played. I mean, I'd be buzzing if I was a West Ham fan. I think the future is looking bright in the signings they've made. Wan-Bissaka as well. Haven't even mentioned him at right back with Ben Johnson going to Ipswich. That's a good replacement. Give Soufal a break. I mean, there's two quality players in a lot of positions in this West Ham team. So I think they've done really well in the market, and I think I've still got them just in ninth, just outside of Europe. But wouldn't be surprised if they finished a little bit higher. Okay, in eighth, I couldn't put them any lower, but I was tempted. Chelsea. What is going on? What is going on? Listen, the signings, they made a lot of signings. They've signed a lot of good players. Pedro Neto's a really good player. Dewsbury Hall's a good player. I just don't see it. I don't get it, other than the fact that these guys want to make some money off of young players, and it just seems weird to me. Something's not right. Listen, Tosin's a good player. Gui might be good. Jorgensen, they needed a goalie. The other guys I've never heard of, other than Dewsbury Hall and Neto. So we'll see. I don't know what to expect, and I kind of know what to expect from Maresca. We know he's gonna knock the ball around. The preseason has been awful. Let's just call it spade a spade. So that's concerning. But listen, I can't really judge him until I've seen him kick a ball in match day one. So we'll see. I'm not expecting fireworks from Chelsea because, yet again, it seems like we're looking at a brand new team, a lot of players to fit in. I just don't see the lineup. Now they're after João Felix. Who's playing? Who's playing where? They've got so many attacking players. How do you fit them all in? I'm not sure. I'm not sure Maresca knows. I'm not sure I trust him to figure it out season one. I think the teams above them will be better. I just do. I think it's the spine of the team isn't gelled. I don't know who plays where, other than, maybe Reece James if he's fit. He seems to have to play because he's the captain, but he's never fit. Cucurella will probably play. Gallagher's gone. He seemed like your only guy who gave a crap last season in terms of, just putting in a shift for 90 minutes every game. You've lost that. Jackson, I thought, had an underrated season. I actually don't mind him. I mean, Palmer is obviously fantastic, so you need him to do it again to give yourself a chance of European football, I think, because the players are fine, but it was just starting to click, and then you change the manager. I don't get it, other than the fact that something was going on behind the scenes, disagreement with Pochettino and the board. I'm not sure I buy into the strategy, so I can't put them any higher than 8th. I just don't know how you fit all these players in. I just don't see it. I think you need some level of consistency. 7th, I've got Newcastle United. I think they'll have a better season. I like the pursuit of Mark Gahey. Hope if they can get him in. I think that'd be a great partnership with Sven Botman. Lewis Hall permanently, fine. Vlachodimos backup goalie, fine. Lloyd Kelly, fine. On a free, don't mind that at all. So, bit quiet in the market, but I think the squad's there to do well. I really do. I don't think they needed much. Isak's fantastic. The midfield's good. Tonali's coming back. He'll feel like a new signing. So I'm quite bullish on Newcastle this season. I think they'll finish 7th. 6th, slight regression. I've gone Aston Villa. I think they've had a great window. I think they've got a great squad and a great manager, but the one position I'm a little concerned about is up front. If Ollie Watkins goes down, they're a little bit light up there, and with Champions League football, I think it's just a different beast. We saw what happened to Newcastle last season. I think it could happen to Villa to a lesser extent. I think they're better positioned. Talk about the incomings. Maatsen, Onana, good signings, especially with Luiz going. I think Onana will do really well there. I think he'll have a great career. I think he's a really, really good player. Just his attributes are just fantastic, I think. And then the ground he covers, the tackles he puts in, the way he carries the ball. I think he's an underrated passer of the ball even, so I like him. Ayling Jr. from Juventus, promising. Ross Barkley, bit of cover there, fine. The midfield is really stacked, even though they lost Dougie Luiz. So I think Philogene as well. Wanted him at Everton. A little bit of wing cover. They've got plenty of players there to have a really good season. Not quite as good as last year, though. I've gone Villa in 6th. 5th, and I was tempted to put them lower. They just have to do well. It's Man United have to have a good season. They just do. And I just back them, too. That I think they'll figure it out to an extent. Ten Hag, he's got to do it. He has to do it. I think he will. If he doesn't, I think they'll get a new manager in, and I think they'll still be fine. Rashford looks a bit better just from the preseason signs. I like Højlund. Xerxes I'm a little confused about. Is he the backup? Is he going to start? Is he going to play with Højlund? I'm not sure that works. I would have liked to seen someone more experienced come in to sort of mentor Højlund, give him a bit of a breather. And they're just totally different profiles too. I sort of bought into the counter-attacking United of old sort of vision, at least for the time being. Xerxes isn't really that sort of profile. He likes to tuck in, or drop in rather. Not really an out-and-out goal scorer, but a fun player, a talented player, but nowhere near a Højlund in terms of style. So it's not really a like for like. Is he a super sub? Is he gonna take the place of Højlund? I don't know. I don't really get that one fully. Yoro, I think, is good. They needed a center back. De Ligt looks to be coming in. Great. Where's the DM? That's the concern. Ugarte was rumored. It hasn't really happened, so I think that's a position of need. Casemiro can't do it. He just can't do it for 38 games. So if they get that in, I think they'll be in a really good position. Fullback, they've got Mazraoui coming in. Good signing. So I think they've done all right in the window. They need a midfielder. But I think they'll get Europe. I don't think they'll get Champions League, but I'm expecting a better season from United in typical United fashion. One season off, one on. So if you follow the pattern, they're poised for a good season. So I've got them in 5th. I think that's their ceiling. Wouldn't be surprised if they finished lower. Wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work. But just because it feels like it has to work, I think it will to an extent. And I think they'll get Europe. 4th, I've gone Liverpool. Listen, Klopp's gone, new manager, new ideas. I think it's going to take him a season. No new signings. Zubamendi's not coming in. That was the position they needed. The squad's fine. It's great. They've got a lot of attacking players. They will score plenty of goals. I'm sure they'll adapt to slot eventually. I think it's going to go fine. I don't think it's going to go great. I don't think they'll be challenging for the league. But they've got a really good team, so they're still going to finish top 4. There's just not much to discuss in terms of incomings. There really haven't been, so I don't quite see them punching above 4th this season. That leaves Spurs in 3rd for me. I like the business. Solanke coming in to compete with Richarlison. Good signing. Again, the striker market's tough. The fee's a little big, but the player had a great season. He's done it in the Premier League. There's no reason why he can't do it at Spurs. Archie Gray looks like a really good talent, another midfielder. Højbjerg's gone. It seems like a bit of a refresh there. I like it. Bergvall, don't know much about him, but again, seems talented. Yang seems talented. So there's some promising young players at Tottenham. There's some promising experienced players at Tottenham. So I think they've got the right blend to really have a good go. I don't think they'll quite challenge, but I think they could pip Liverpool to 3rd. And then the outgoings, Royale, Perisic, Sessegnon, that's fine. Get them out. A bit of deadwood there. So I like the business they've done. Really like the manager. Son's still there. He's going to score goals. Madison's going to assist him. I think it's good vibes at Spurs. I think they'll have a really good season. I've got them in 3rd. 2nd. It's tough. Man City. Listen, they might win it. 5 in a row would be ridiculous. This has to be the season. It just has to be the season Arsenal do it. In terms of Man City, Savinho looks like a really good player. Watched him at the Copa America. Looks really talented. Alvarez is gone. Don't think they'll miss him. I think he's a really good player, but as long as Haaland's there, he's always going to be second fiddle. They've got great money for him. It's just what they do. Everyone else is still there. De Bruyne is going to stay. They're going to be tough to beat. It has to catch up with them eventually. And I kind of feel like I say this every season, but I'm going to keep doing it. Arsenal have to get them this season. They just do. I feel like it has to be the year. I have no great reason other than the fact that they've won it 4 times in a row. Surely they can't do 5. No major incomings other than Savinho, and then Alvarez out the other way. I don't know. Listen. The squad's ridiculous. The manager's ridiculous. I could see them winning the Champions League and losing the Premier League. That's my prediction. Listen, would I be surprised if they win it? Absolutely not. Do I semi-expect them to? Sure. But I just feel like I have to pick Arsenal. I think they've made good moves, and we'll get onto them now. They have to come out of the blocks firing. They have to build a lead. Their fixtures aren't great towards the end of the season. And I don't think you want to be chasing Man City. I think I want to see Arsenal, again, like they were the first season. Chase us. We can stay in the lead. I don't think you want to be chasing City with 5-6 games to go. So I think they have to come out of the blocks firing. Calafiori's come in. Position of need, left-footed defender. He'll probably play left back. He can slot in at center back, give Gabriel and Saliba a break. Fatigue concerns me. Declan Rice has been at the Euros. Saka's been at the Euros. Saliba's been at the Euros. Key players have played a lot of football. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that this has to be the season. City might be fatigued as well. I probably sound silly saying that, but they haven't really lost anyone other than Smith Rowe, who barely plays. a midfielder. Looks like they want one. Will they get one? I back them too. I think that'll help. I think they kind of need it. So sort of contingency on whether they get that midfielder to play in there. I've got them winning the league. I think Havertz, Jesus is enough goals. I think in a pre-Haaland world, it's definitely enough goals, but I think it was enough goals last season. It just really came down to fine margins. Can they get 90 points? Is Calafiori the difference? I'm going to say yes, because it just has to be at some point. And I refuse to believe that City can do 5 in a row. So Arsenal to win it. Why the heck not? That'll do it for me, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Comment below with your predictions. Am I wrong? Am I absolutely spewing nonsense? Or am I spot on? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. The pod will resume once the season gets going. Maybe first couple weeks in September. We'll hop back on the mics, give you our takes. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.